Welcome to the Black to Business Podcast, an educational podcast providing Black entrepreneurs with tools and resources to start and grow their businesses. I'm your host, Monique T. Marshall. This week, we are discussing investing for beginners. And joining me on this week's Chief Chat is Ms. Ashley Fox, an award-winning financial advisor who has helped her clients save and invest over $1.5 million. She is an expert in her field as a financial education specialist who founded the company Empify. Empify is an education-based organization created to help both adults and children understand financial literacy. After graduating with honors from Howard University, Ashley moved to New York City to begin her career on Wall Street to help millionaires and billionaires manage their money. She was exposed to various types of financial tools and investments, and she learned how to effectively use those tools to help people manage their wealth. So rather than sit back and keep all of this information to herself, she decided to share it with others and empower them through education. With this desire in mind, Ashley quit her six-figure job on Wall Street and started her own business teaching financial education to the world. So I truly appreciate Ashley for taking this time to speak with us this week. During this episode, Ashley breaks down what a stock is and how to purchase a stock. We also talk about how you can start investing based on your budget and the importance of creating generational wealth, and most importantly, how to pay yourself. So let's get into it. So Ashley, thank you so much for joining us on the show today. We're so excited to have you.
Thank you for having me. I appreciate it.
Of course. So before we get started, I wanted to tell my listeners who don't yet know a little bit about your story. If you could, how did you get where you are today, and what is it that you do in your business?
So I'm from Philadelphia, graduated high school here, went to Howard University. And my dream was to work on Wall Street, specifically just to make a lot of money and wear nice clothes. And that was kind of my dream job. So I went to Howard, had 4 internships in school, and 3 of them I worked at Wall Street investment banks. And so while I was there, I realized I wanted to be in New York City. I had to work on Wall Street, and that's exactly what I did when I graduated. And when I graduated, I landed my dream career in asset management at a large investment bank in New York City, where we helped individuals who made $25 million or more manage their money. So the companies are the places that we shop at, celebrities, athletes, just millionaires and billionaires that reside or have some sort of location within the New York City area, which is pretty much a lot of individuals who have a lot of money. They were our clients. And so I saw the ins and outs of what they did with their money, where they lived, where they shopped, where they traveled, what they invested in. And I pretty much saw the ins and outs of what wealthy people did with their money. And then after a while, my dream of being on Wall Street, I did not have to stay. So I realized I wanted to do something bigger and better, and I had the desire to be the client, not service the client. And if I stayed in my job for 20 plus years, I would never be in a position to be like our clients, to have that much wealth, to be able to have those types of opportunities. So I ended up leaving my job, and I was never one of those people who I have to be my own boss. I want to be an entrepreneur. I always wanted to work in corporate America. And I realized in order to become the person that I wanted to be, I had to create something. And a lot of the things that I did with my money, so the things I invested in, the places I traveled, was because of what I saw wealthy people do. So I got exposed to a lifestyle. I got exposed to a mindset. I got exposed to a culture that I wanted to be able to give the world that Wall Street would never talk to. So I ended up leaving my job. That was almost 5 years ago.
Wow.
And I didn't really know what I wanted to do. I just knew who I wanted to be. And I knew I wanted to take that information and give it to people who had no desire to be on Wall Street or work on Wall Street, or didn't have the tools and resources that I was given because of the career path that I chose. I became a financial advisor randomly. I had a bunch of certifications, and I serviced the people, again, who didn't have a lot of money. I used to do small workshops in New York, D.C., and Philly, and I had an event October of 2013 at UPenn here in Philadelphia, and over 100 people showed up. And that was when I realized there was a place that I could do business, and there was a need for what I provided. In the midst of that, no one tells you that when you run a business, you do not make money every 2 weeks like a job. So I was still living, shopping, traveling as if money was coming every 2 weeks, and I lost everything. So maxed out credit cards, negative bank accounts. I got evicted from my apartment in New York City, and I ended up back in Philadelphia on my parents' couch. Lived there for 2 years, where I built my financial advisory business. So one of the businesses that I do run, I am an individual licensed financial professional. So I'm a financial advisor that helps people plan for retirement, save for their kids' college education, learn how to save, invest on an individual basis. And so that was the first business I started. Worked out of a Marriott lounge for 8 to 9 months where I wasn't eating, I wasn't sleeping, I had no money, but I was teaching people from the things I had learned and also from the mistakes that I had made with my own personal money. I ended up opening an office here in Philadelphia and then ended up training licensed financial professionals. I had a team of over 20 people that I was training, built a business, made six figures, got unhappy again. Dealing with adults, it's not easy because adults are mentally conditioned to feel a certain type of way or believe certain things. And so it was my thoughts, my dreams, my goals, my education being given to people who did not have a lot of money, people who never felt like they would be wealthy, didn't want to be wealthy. No matter how much motivation you give somebody, if they are not ready, they will not change. And sometimes that got frustrating to me. But I realized in order to prevent that, I had to then teach a child, because in order to prevent an adult from making financially bad decisions, you need to teach a kid so that they're financially prepared not to make those mistakes. And so I realized I wanted to create this company called Empify, which is the word empower and modify merged together, because everything that I do really has nothing to do with money. It's more so about shifting the mindset that we have as a people in order to grow our net worth, our wealth, that we can pass down and create for our family. And it's not just, hey, let me teach you what a stock is. It's more shifting the way you think and what you value and prioritize as a human being. But I realized that kids are a lot easier to work with than adults. But I never was a teacher.
Right.
I never taught kids before. And so for 1 year, I taught 6 different classes for free, learning how to teach middle school students about financial education. So I knew about finance. I knew how to communicate with people because I was a financial advisor at the time for maybe 3 years. And I just had to figure out the school system and understand what it was like to teach a child what they do and what they do not know. That turned into us getting a contract with School District of Philadelphia. We have a program in New York City. And as of now, we've been in over 50 schools providing financial education to both adults, middle school, high school, and college students. The overall goal is to create a school, both brick and mortar and online. So no matter how much money you do or do not have, Empify is there to be able to give you the tools and resources you need to become a better person and to build wealth within your family. And I think for something we use every single day of our life, no one teaches it to us. And it's not taught in our school system. And chances are, if you don't come from money, no one, your parents can only teach you what they know. And so there is no place that supports us as a people to give us the guidance, the tools, and the resources without judging us for what we have done in the past or judging us for where we are from or what we look like. And I think we all deserve to be wealthy. It's just we have to shift the way we think about it. So Empify essentially creates online content, online programs that implements financial education programs within different schools throughout the country.
Wow. Like that was amazing. And it's just, the transparency in your story. Thank you so much for sharing that with us. Which brings me to the point of our topic today, which I'm so excited about, the fact that you knew to shift and focus on kids. It's like for us, our audience is talking today about investing for beginners, because I know myself, I'm still learning, and I know my audience is still learning. So Ashley, what does it mean to invest, and why should people, look into investing, and what are the things that most people don't know about investing?
So I would say investing essentially is just, it doesn't necessarily always have to be with money, but it's essentially giving up time, energy, resources into something that you feel like will put you in a better situation in the future. So in this case, you can invest in yourself, which is giving yourself education, growing yourself, reading books, connecting yourself with the right people, because by doing that, you want to become better or get a specific result by doing that. When it comes to investing your money, it's taking your money, putting it into different types of places, investments, businesses, whatever it is, with the intent that you will come out with more in the future. And so I think just as a Black culture, when you really get down to it, it's not that we don't want to invest. It's one, we don't think we're qualified. 2, it's too complicated. So because it's so complicated, we just focus on what we're accustomed to. And I think if we value our legacy and we value who we are and what we have done as a culture, we will understand that we are amazing and that we deserve to be wealthy. I mean, this country was built as a result of us. So we are amazing genetically. We are worth becoming. It is possible for us to be wealthy. We deserve wealth. Now, is society designed to put us in that position? Absolutely not. But just because it is not set up that way, that does not mean we cannot put ourselves in the position, because If man created it, man can break it. And so for me, I think as a culture, we do not believe we can. When we associate money and we associate wealth, it is not a black woman or a black man. And even in the industry that I'm in, when I ask my kids, when you think of Wall Street, what do you think about? And my kids will tell me a Caucasian man in a trench coat. And these are like actual things that my kids tell me. But when we think of Wall Street, we think of money. We think of wealth. We think of power. And that does not mean that we are not capable of getting there. We just have this preconditioned mindset that you have to have a lot of money. This is not a conversation that I deserve to have, or this is not a seat at the table that I deserve to be in, because this is not what we're surrounded by. So we automatically assume that we are, or we can be, what our eyes have seen. The difference with me is that I've seen money. I've seen millionaires and billionaires. I've looked in their bank accounts. I saw everything. And so for me, when you sit and you talk to these people, you realize people with money are not smarter than you. They don't work harder than you. They just make no different things. But that doesn't mean we are not capable of having that knowledge. And I think if you are not in a position where you can sit back and relax for the rest of your life, and your family cannot do that, then you have no reason not to be investing. Because if you are not where you want to be financially, the goal is to work smarter, not harder. That doesn't mean go get 50 different jobs. It means to work smarter. And what are wealthy people doing with their time, their money, their energy that we too as Black people can do as well? It's just because it's not in front of us, we do not think it's possible. So like if everyone in your family was a millionaire or a billionaire, you can't help but to become one, because millionaires and billionaires operate a certain way. They read a certain way. They travel a certain way. They talk a certain way. They operate differently. But if you grow up in an area where there it's a low income area and nobody has jobs, nobody has money, that actually takes a mental toll on the psychological mindset of an individual, especially Black people. So if we're surrounded by poverty, that's all we are accustomed to. So that's all our minds can conceive, and that's all we feel like we can be. But because I've seen more from both aspects. I mean, I've dealt with clients who are single mothers on welfare. I've had clients that are millionaires. The commonality is just they just need financial education to make educated decisions, and they need somebody to give them the tools, the resources, and the actual motivation and empowerment from within to help them go take that information to do something with it. Because everything I teach people, and everything just as a company, what we do, you can Google everything that we do. Like, you can Google what a stock is, how to buy a stock, how to trade. Like, it's not that you can't find it, but it's one thing to get information and lack inspiration. We as Black people want to invest. We want to learn, but we're scared. And a lot of that fear comes from things that have happened in history, but we cannot let that stop us from becoming who we have always been destined to be, if that makes sense.
That makes perfect sense. And I like what you mentioned, and I think it's a sense of, changing the narrative and how you've been able to do such at such a young age. When speaking about the confidence to do these things, now I feel like we're in a time where people are doing those things to change the narrative. So what are some small ways that people can start to invest?
So there are tons of things you can invest in, but I think we have to be confident in what we do and why we do it. And I think one of the things that people think or feel is that I don't know, it's complicated, or I don't understand it. For instance, when Instagram first came out, nobody knew how to upload a picture. Nobody knew how to use a filter. Snapchat just changed their features. No one knows how to use that either. But I have children that know how to use these applications. So there was one point where you could not walk. There was one point where you did not know how to use the social media apps that have been created. There have been times where there are things you do not know. We just have to put a priority on things that actually matter in our life. And so one of the things that I think the easiest way to begin investing, if you talk about, if we highlight the focus on stocks, and the reason that I choose stocks as one of the routes that I think we as people can at least learn how to invest. You don't necessarily have to go do it. But as a Black culture, we have over $1 trillion of buying power, which means that our discretionary income that we have after we pay all of our bills collectively is worth over $1 trillion. And what that means is we go out and buy stuff. And the problem is we're buying stuff and we're paying for these products, these services, and the people who are making money off of us do not look like us. And it's nothing against people that have created these great businesses, but we don't own enough as a people. And sometimes not everybody is in a position like me to say, to hell with this great job that I have. I want to go do something crazy, sacrifice my entire life, lose everything to go to create something that has never been done before. Not everybody has the mental toughness that I have. And to be honest, I don't even encourage crazy entrepreneurships and things that I do. It definitely is worthwhile, but it's not for everybody. And it's nothing wrong with not having having a job. We just have to value our dollar and recognize who we are keeping rich. And so one of the things I always tell people is, if you're constantly spending money with companies or utilizing their services or utilizing their apps on a consistent basis, by your consumption, they are remaining wealthy. For instance, Netflix just became a $100 billion business just because we pay $8 to $10 every single month. But everybody on social media talks about Netflix and chill. That company just is a $1 billion business, and all we're doing is chilling and watching them. And I think nothing wrong with us doing that. But why not play the same game that is being played on us? If there are people creating these companies, utilizing our time, our energy, and our money, if there are ways that we can get a piece of the deal, why not do it? And one of the ways you can do that is by buying stock. It's nothing for you to go take maybe $75, $180 to buy one share of Apple. If you're constantly using Apple, constantly standing in line with Apple, have the watch, have the iPad, have the phone. You have all these things that this company makes. Stop being the consumer of the product and be in a position to be the owner of the product. Just recently, I purchased Amazon stock, which is very expensive, but I literally use Amazon every single week. Like, I just bought soap on Amazon, like for something that I use all the time. Amazon is continuing to grow as an institution. I believe in the company. And if you're constantly using the product or the service and you believe in a company, take some time to research the company. Is this company making money? How much money are they making? Who runs this company? What has their stock price been before? And look at what it is now. I remember when I first wanted to buy Amazon stock, it was like $800. And this was less than a year ago. Now Amazon is trading at almost $1,600 just by me wanting to go buy the stock. And at that time, I just made all these excuses. I just, whatever I needed $800 for, I didn't think I had the time or the energy to buy the stock. I wish I would have bought Amazon stock when it was $800. Luckily, I got in at like $1,500. But for me, I believe in the company. I believe in Jeff Bezos. I consistently use their products. I think they are continuing to grow. I think they're going to run this country at one point. And that's just my personal opinion. But you may not like Amazon, but maybe you buy certain makeup products. Maybe you drive a certain car. Maybe you pump a certain gas. Maybe you use a certain toothpaste. Maybe you love this social media app. Maybe you shop and buy sneakers at this company. Look at the companies that you have been loyal to all these years, and that the Black community is continuing to be loyal to. Because if people are using the product and the service and the company's revenue is growing, their stock price is going to continue to rise and they're going to become a bigger and better institution. And so from a high level perspective, I don't look for the next big tech company. I buy what I know. If I'm going to buy a stock in a company, that means I have a small portion of ownership with that company. I own a piece of Amazon. And so when I proudly go shop at Whole Foods, I'm totally okay with that because I'm helping Amazon make money. And as Amazon continues to make money, continues to become a better company, my net worth can increase with that. And so I'm not saying you have to go research these crazy companies. And, I buy what I know. And that's kind of the easiest way for me to understand stocks is if I believe in you and I think you're going to be here in the next 5 to 10 years, then I'm betting on you. And that doesn't mean I have to spend millions of dollars. If you want to just buy one share of a company, you can buy one piece of a company. And so for me, I just buy what I know. And I think that's the easiest way to start. One of the exercises that I do with my students and the adults that I work with, just make a list of all the companies that you give your money to. Like, think about everything you bought this week. Who made money off of you buying or using a product? For instance, my mom watches ESPN all day. We watch Scandal, How to Get Away with Murder. That's ABC and ESPN that is owned by Disney. Look at Disney stock. Have they been making money? Have they been losing money? Do you believe they'll be here in the next 10 to 15 years? So maybe Disney is a company you could potentially consider buying. And as of now, they're trading at like $105. If you can't get $105 over the next 2 months, then that means you're spending too much money on things that add no value to your life. if that makes sense.
That makes perfect sense. I was just about to say I am going to go write a list of all the companies that I am currently purchasing from. But, the thing that you mentioned is the great thing about your company is that you give people the confidence to do things. And a lot of times we know what we need to do. But for those people, what exactly, if you could give a mini power lesson on what a stock is and how do you know if it's making a return on your investment, and where are people going to look to see how stocks are doing?
So I would say this conversation can get like very intense. So essentially a stock, look at it like a pizza. When you get, let's just say you're at my house and we're chilling, you're hungry, I'm hungry, and I bring this big old box of pizza that I paid money for. So I got the pizza, I own the pizza. You say, can I have a slice? I say, sure. It's going to cost you $10 for one slice. You say, you know what? I want some more of that pizza. Can I get 2 slices? Sure. That's going to $10 a piece. You give me $20. Now both you and I own a slice of this pizza. Now, the bigger the slice of pizza, the bigger your slice is actually worth, the more fulfilling it is. A stock is just a slice of pizza. The company is the big old pie that created this big old pizza, and they allow the world to buy a bunch of slices of it. Now, you can keep the pizza, you can preserve it. Your homie across the street may say, hey, I want that pizza too. You know what? I paid $10 for it. This pizza's pretty popping now. I'm charging you $15 for it. You get what I'm saying? So in this case, it's just a piece of a pie. Now, you can buy millions of slices of this pizza because the pizza may be really good. It's really popular, but you believe this pizza is going to get better and better. This company is going to get bigger and bigger, and you can go sell that pizza at a higher price. That's the easiest way I can think about it. But a stock essentially is a piece of a company, just a piece of ownership. You can buy 1 share, you can buy 100 shares, you can buy 1,000,000 shares. But one of the things that I always use is just the stock app on my iPhone, the little black app that has all the little squiggly lines. On the left side, it shows you the companies, which are ticker symbols. And the ticker symbols are like the abbreviations of a company. So as opposed to writing, let's say I'm a publicly traded company, as opposed to writing Ashley Marie Fox, my ticker would be AMF on the stock market. So on the left side, you'll probably see these like weird letters that don't actually display a full word. They're just ticker symbols of a company. So if you Google the ticker, the actual company name will pop up. To the right of the app, you'll see a number. That number is the cost per share, meaning like Amazon stock can be $15.75 for one piece of Amazon. It's going to cost you $15.75. If you see Disney, which I believe their ticker is DIS, Disney can say $105, which means if you want to buy one piece of Disney, it's going to cost you $105. If you want to buy 2 pieces of Disney, it's going to cost you $105 times 2. So in this case, looking at the different prices of the companies that you want, first you have to pick the companies you want. So the companies you believe in that you think are strong. The way I look at it is who is going to be around in the next 5 to 10 years? Like for instance, think about this. Cable companies are slowly going out of business. Why? Because we don't like watching commercials anymore. We like to stream. So that is the new wave. So that's why companies like Netflix are growing. But at the same time, Amazon is creating a streaming service. Disney is creating their streaming service. You got Apple. You have these large institutions that are adapting their companies to the way our culture is moving. So you have to not get on the wave when it's like flowing. You got to get on it right when it's about to start. So cable business may not be something you want to invest in because nobody likes cable anymore. They love Netflix. And so you have to just kind of first just think, who do you believe is going to be around for the long haul? And everything that I do, and let me just make this disclaimer, I do not flip stocks. I do not day trade. I did that right when I quit my job, and it drove me insane. It almost gave me I literally went crazy because you're watching stock prices all day, every day. I am a wealth builder. When I think of wealth, I think of longevity. Rich is having a lot of money right now. Wealth is having a lot of money forever, generation after generation. So for me, when I invest, I'm not thinking, oh my gosh, let me flip and make a couple $100 or a couple $1,000 tomorrow. No, I'm thinking, okay, when I have my kids, if I don't sell these stocks, I can pass this down to my kids, so that they don't ever have to take out student loans or go to college because I've been investing since I was young. And so I want to make that clear. So when I look at companies, I don't look to see, is Amazon stock 1,500 or they're going to be 2,000 tomorrow? I'm totally okay if Amazon may go up today, may go down, but in the next 10 to 15 years, I personally believe Amazon will be around. And I believe that their company stock price will be higher than what I initially purchased it at. And so if you buy a stock at a certain price and your intent is to buy it lower and sell it at a higher price, what drives the stock up is when companies do great things. And so for me, I believe Amazon's a great company. I believe companies like Apple are a great company. And that is my personal opinion. But some people may disagree with me. People disagree with me all the time. And that's my personal opinion. So I'm not saying that people have to go out and buy these stocks, but I buy what I'm comfortable with, and essentially using the basic stock app on your phone, just understanding what the ticker symbol is to what company it is, and understanding that those prices on the right hand side are just the prices of the actual individual stock. And from Monday through Friday, 9:30 to 4 p.m., those prices will change. And so essentially the stock market is like the supermarket. When you go to the supermarket may open at 8 a.m. and they may close at 10 p.m. You can't go to the supermarket at 4 a.m. because the doors are closed. So you can't go buy food because the doors are closed. Same thing with stocks. You can't go buy stocks, initiate a transaction, and receive the stock unless the stock market is open. So right now the stock market is closed in America. So your transaction won't be initiated until Monday at 9:30 when the doors open again. So you'll notice on your stock app that the numbers are not going to move on the weekend. They only are moving from 9:30 to 4 p.m. because that is when people are buying and selling the stock. And what drives the stock price up or down is people always buying, or people always selling. And so essentially you can't just go buy stock and think the stock is going to appear in your account. You have to wait till the market doors open. So when you can buy the stock is between 9:30 and 4 p.m. So those numbers will change during market hours. On the weekend, the U.S. stock market is closed, so those numbers will be pretty much the same until the doors open again at 9:30, and you'll start to see the numbers changing. But I essentially just think, I'm not like a techie finance person. I don't read finance books. I think finance is boring, but I believe in our culture, and we need economic power. Right. And economic power comes from ownership. That doesn't mean we always have to go create our own company. That just means that we need to go own the companies that are constantly making money off of us as a community.
Definitely. And the last piece of that is how can people, what's it meaning to not cash out on these stocks, or making sure that you're investing and waiting until a certain point, and how does that work?
So it depends. So that varies depending on the person. So like, for instance, I'll give you an example. I have a niece who's 9 months or almost 9 months now. I buy her stock. My intent is to, by the time she's 18, she'll have at least $1 million. That's my goal. My niece will be a millionaire by the time she's 18. But think about it. I have 18 years to invest for her. And in the beginning, I can put in a couple hundred a month here. But over time, the intent is I'm going to grow as a person. So when I grow, my bank account grows. So the more money I make, the more money I'm investing for my niece. And let's just say I may not hit $1 million. Let's just say I halfway complete the goal and she has a $500,000. I wish I had $500,000 at 18 years old. So we have to start thinking from a longevity perspective. So in this case, for that ultimate goal, I don't plan to sell her stocks until 18 years from now. Now, let's talk for me. I'm 29 years old. Everything I do with my life is to structure my financial position to make sure that I am financially set by 40, meaning financially set, meaning that if I decide to say I want to just chill and relax for the next 2 to 3 years, my businesses will run, but I need to have a certain amount of money coming in every single month where I will never have to do anything if I don't want to, but I don't want to run out of money. And so if 40 is my age and the average person passes away around age 85, 90, that means that I need to have 45, 50 years of that money coming in every single month for the rest of my life to make sure I am financially set. So in this case, I may be investing my stocks over the next 10-year time horizon with the intent that 10 years from now, I may sell out of some of my stocks to get the cash to then live off that money to have the life that I desire. So you have to start to think about the timeline of what matters to you. If you are Black, and this is my personal opinion, and you do not have a lot of money, do get out of the mindset that you got to flip money really quick. The reason that wealthy people continue to remain wealthy is because they focus on generations after them. How can you put your kids in a better financial position so that they don't have to feel or go through what you went through as a person? So in this case, that it depends on the time horizon of the person that is doing the investing. If you do want to invest money and you want to touch it in the next year because you have this big project you're working on or you want to buy a house, that's fine. But you have to understand that these are also companies. If you are investing in large institutions, especially if you're an entrepreneur, the reason I can understand is because I run a business. If let's just say you wanted to invest in Empify, I'm not about to make you a billionaire tomorrow. Now, in the next 10, 15, 20 years, that's absolutely possible. But companies go through their ups and downs. Companies are not perfect. Companies are not just going to have tremendous returns over the next 1 to 2 years. It's possible they may have a down quarter. And you have to be able to sustain those ups and downs if you believe in the institution. Now, if you're just trying to get a quick flip, this is kind of not the advice that you would want to take, but it really depends on your time horizon. When you think about what you're investing for, you have to outline that. Like, I'm investing so that my niece will have $1 million by the time she's 18, period. I'm investing for Ashley to make sure she is financially set by age 40. Most people may be investing for retirement. Me, I'm not retiring at 65. That's a government created age that Ashley Fox will not abide by. 40 is my age, period. So everything that I want to do is to financially prepare myself for 40 with the different types of investments that I have. So everybody's different, but you have to think about, okay, why am I investing? Am I just doing it because it's freaking cool? Then no, this is not a game you should play. If I'm doing it to make sure that I can grow my wealth and have more money because I know savings accounts aren't paying me anything, and I'm doing this to make sure that my life is greater later, then absolutely. So it really depends on the timeline of the person and the core purpose for their actual investments. And that needs to be defined before you go buy any kind of investment at all.
That was good. I'm like writing notes and running out of space. But I love that you said rich is having a lot of money right now, and wealth is having a lot of money forever, for generational wealth. And you mentioned in the beginning, your story and how you had this, this life that was going like this, and then you had to shift. And my question to you is, for those people who are maybe going through a similar transition, or they're dealing with student loan debt, but they still want to be financially set like you, how can they start to, think about, okay, should I pay off my debt first and then invest? And how are you investing if you don't have much money? I know you mentioned a little bit before.
So for me, first you have to ask yourself, so I have student loan debt. I have credit card debt. I am not the richest person walking, but I can tell you that every single month, Ashley Fox invests. Now, there have been points where I've only invested $100 a month. There were points where I only had $25 to invest, but there has never been a point in time since I was 21 years old that Ashley Fox has never invested her money every single month. Because if you can pay rent every month, you can pay your car note every month, you can buy your kids sneakers every month, you can go to Starbucks every month, you can pay your cell phone bill. If you could pay everybody else, you need to make you a priority first. And I take care of Ashley before I take care of anybody. And I think it's in that, to me, is a psychological shift, because there have been points where I have not had a lot of money. There have been points where I could not pay my bills. But what kept me focused and moving is that I understood that this was a temporary situation and that I would never have to be in again for the rest of my life. But you have to get through it, but not get through it where you're letting it take a mental toll on you. Every single day when I went to the Marriott, because that was my office when I worked with my clients, the Marriott Lounge, there was free Wi-Fi in the building, that I knew that this was temporary. I knew that Ashley was going to build a school. I knew that Ashley was going to open an office. I knew that Ashley was going to be a billionaire. And I consistently reminded myself, now, did I have money in my bank account? Absolutely not. Was I going through a tough time? Absolutely. But Ashley knew that Ashley was not going to be here forever. So this conversation really has nothing to do with the amount of money in your bank account. You got to check yourself and ask yourself, how much do you believe in you? Because I knew Ashley was amazing. And now there are times where I get scared. There are times where I doubt myself, but then I remind myself, you done been through hell and back. If you got through that before, you can get through this, and you are strong enough, and everything in your life happens for a reason. So as opposed to me thinking, why is this happening to me? I actually had to sit and understand, what am I going to learn from this situation that can position me to be a better person? At the time, I didn't know, but now I know. I went through that financial transition, because that's what I call it, because I never appreciated money. I was 22 years old making over $100,000 on Wall Street, would buy bags, shoes, a bunch of stupid stuff because I always had money. And I grew up in a 2-parent home where we weren't the richest family on the block, but our bills were paid on time. And so I've had a job since 10. So there was never a point in my life where I had no money. And the reason I had to go through that is because I would have never been able to empathize and understand the people that I serve. What good am I serving the world of people who don't have a lot of money if I've always had money my entire life? What good am I serving a world who feels like they don't know how to invest, they don't believe in themselves? Well, my entire life since 21, I've been investing, I've had money, I bought fancy clothes. I needed that situation to humble me because I placed value on things that meant nothing to me as a person. I was the person, you met me, I'm Ashley, I work on Wall Street, I have this kind of like I was that girl. And now I honestly don't care what I wear. I honestly don't care what people think about me because I know I'm amazing, but I don't need things to define my greatness because I believe in Ashley. So if you are going through that tough financial transition, ask yourself why. Ask yourself, what are you doing to put yourself in a better position so that you don't ever have to go through it? The problem or the issue with that whole thing is you don't know how long you're going to be going through it. But I honestly don't think that's any of your control. You have to understand that you will get through it. It is not permanent. It is temporary. But understand that this is the journey you have to go on to be able to become who you're destined to be. Now, that lost everything values and appreciates every little piece that I get in my business, every little accomplishment that I make, because I remember what it felt like to have nothing. I just bought a couch for my apartment. I was so appreciative of this couch because the one time when I wanted to buy a couch, when I did live on my own, I got kicked out that apartment. So this one couch that I got, that I worked and bust my behind to get, I slept on my couch for 2 days, just so in love with this one couch. But Ashley, who I would have even cared about a stupid couch. Like I just would have bought it and kept it moving. But it meant something to me because of the journey that I went through to be able to get that couch. And I appreciate things a lot more. Now, going through it, I didn't know why I was going through it, but you can't understand life when you're going through it. You can only look at it in retrospect. So essentially that's how you would deal with the mentality behind going through the trials and tribulations that you're going through financially. When it comes to debt, I personally have student loan debt. I have credit card debt. But you have to ask yourself, how long are you going to defer your wealth to pay down debt? I think we get so addicted to paying down debt because it gives us this anxiety. We don't want to owe anybody. And the real issue comes to a point where you pay off your credit card debt and then you get tempted to use it again. So there's no point in stressing yourself out to pay down all this debt when your mind isn't even right. You're going to keep using the debt. Now, when it comes to student loans, I'm not saying don't pay off or pay down your debt. By no means am I saying that. However, I don't think debt should be more important than investing. You have to tackle both of them at the same time. So if you only have $100 left over, extra money can go to paying down debt. Extra money can go into your savings account. Maybe you want to save for that next vacation, and a certain amount of money can go towards investing. There should never be a month of your life where you are not paying yourself, because we're going to keep making Sally Mae rich. We're going to keep making our credit card companies rich. Everyone, again, is making money off of us, and we are not growing our wealth as a people. So in this case, I'm not saying that I do not pay down debt. I do value investing more. But for instance, I built out a debt pay down plan where this credit card will be paid off by July of 2018. And every month I'll be setting aside X amount of dollars until this credit card is paid off. But I'm still investing, but I have a hard deadline of when this card must be paid off. And this is what I'm going to do to make additional income to pay it off. And this is what I'm going to do to invest. So it's not that investing isn't important. It's not that paying debt isn't important. You have to prioritize and take advantage of the money that you do have and put it to good use. Now, don't go shopping if you know you have student loan debt and you haven't invested this month. That's where we mess up, because we would say, oh, I've worked so hard all week, I got to go shopping. No, you have to make you a priority, because you'll look up next year and say, oh my gosh, I have no investments. Oh my gosh, I still don't have any savings, but I still have all this debt, but you have a bunch of clothes that you don't even wear anymore. So I would say do both at the same time. There should never be a month where you are not paying yourself or doing things that can increase your net worth. And there should never be a month where you're not focusing on paying down debt. You just have to do both of them at the exact same time, because you cannot defer your wealth to pay down debt. Like, it just doesn't make any sense when you just think about it. I'm making somebody else rich, and I'm just going to sacrifice my wealth and me growing as a person.
So, Ashley, with all that you've done, is there anything that you can think of that people, you see common mistakes? I know right now you're doing children, but when you were doing, adults, some of the mistakes they made when it comes to investing or, their thoughts about investing. I know we talked about the mindset a little bit.
So I would say, so I still work with adults. I would say my time is divided between being a financial advisor, working with individual clients, being in the classroom, teaching children, and also creating online content and programs for adults to use. But one of the things that I would say adults often make is we make too many decisions off of emotion. So I'll give you a real actual example. So for instance, Bitcoin used to be the thing, and people were making a lot of money. It was in the news, and everybody wanted to just do Bitcoin. People were like, I personally don't invest in cryptocurrency. I think the actual technology behind it is great, but I'm not really big on buying what's hot. And I think we jump on the bandwagon too much. Or even, for instance, people will follow me and I say I will post a lot of things about Amazon. So then they think they just have to go buy Amazon because I talk about it. When that's not how you operate when it comes to investments. You have to understand. It's how you do your job, and you're great at your job, and you've trained and you've learned. It's the same thing with investments. Just because somebody does something or because everyone thinks this is pretty cool, you have to do it. So when everybody was just excited about Bitcoin, now Bitcoin's bubble is about to burst, and now people are losing money. So not saying that Bitcoin was a good or bad investment, but you don't just hop on something because everyone's talking about it or because it's popular. You need to do what is right for you because you did your research, you feel confident, and you feel comfortable. Just because someone does something, that doesn't mean that it's good for you. Basketball may not be good for you, or religion may not be good for you. Just because it works for someone doesn't mean it's going to work for you. You have to understand and take time and energy to being confident. And this is how I feel like you can know you're good and confident when you can teach what you've done to somebody, or you can talk about what you do with your investments and teach your child or teach your friends and your family. That means you've learned something. If you can't thoroughly put on a presentation about Bitcoin, don't buy it. If you can't thoroughly understand what it is that they do, don't buy it. If you can't sit and understand that Jeff Bezos is the CEO of Amazon, or that they made this much money last quarter, don't buy it. Because you're just hopping on a bandwagon and thinking that this is something you should do because everyone's doing it. If you don't want to buy stocks, don't buy stocks. I'm just not okay with the Black community not investing. I'm totally not for us giving everyone all of our money and continuing to keep rich people rich, and you're not investing. I mean, you don't want to buy stocks? That's fine. There are other ways where you can build wealth, but don't do it because someone else is doing it because it looks good on their side. Because Bitcoin looks great from my social media timeline, but that doesn't mean that I'm going to do it. People have asked me to do interviews on TV to talk about Bitcoin. I don't care how great it is or how much money people make. That's not who I am. And I'm very firm in believing in what I do and why I do it. And just because it's popping, that doesn't mean that I have to do it. Just because people made all this money doesn't mean that I'm okay with it. And for me, that's not how I operate. And you have to treat your bank account the exact same way.
Definitely. And that goes into, doing what works for you as well. So in your experience, I know you mentioned the iPhone app. Are there any other tools that you feel that helped you when you were investing or beginning to invest?
So my experience was a little different because I worked on Wall Street. So I already understood a lot of the things. When I went to school for it, I had internships, and we were doing a lot of the things that I did because of what I saw. And I learned by just being on Wall Street. Like every day at 8:00, we had a morning meeting. So I knew everything that was going on in the world with the stock market. We had so my experience was a little bit different, and I was more advanced. But I would say as a beginner, what I would say, a couple things that you need. I think you need somebody by your side. It was always good for me to invest when I had my homie who invested too. Like, for instance, now I have clients who I've helped over the years who send me articles or tell me I'm going to buy more of this stock because of this. It's good to have somebody to have those conversations with. Just like if you're a girl and you have that one friend you can talk about your boyfriend to. You have that one friend you can talk about your career to. You need that one friend you can talk about investing with. So you don't feel like you're on this road alone. especially because in the Black community, this is not something we talk about. When you scroll through your timeline, you don't see people talking about investing for their children or saving for their financial future. You see people doing whatever they do on social media, taking all these cute pictures, and that's fine, but you need someone to make you feel like it is okay to keep going in a world where it's not made a priority. The other thing I think you should do is one of the accounts that I think is really great is this account called Stockpile. So STOCK Pile, PILE. I think that is a great account for beginners. That's the account that I use for my niece, especially if you have kids. It is an excellent account for children. Aesthetically, it looks great. The colors, the tools they give you, it's a great app compared to the E-Trade account that I use. E-Trade to me works well, but it's very technical. It'll take you 5 minutes to open an E-Trade account, where Stockpile will take you literally 30 seconds to open a Stockpile account. So it is created for beginners, people who want to learn, people who don't have a lot of money. I think that is a great account that can help guide us. As you become to be more advanced, there are certain things Stockpile does not do. But if you are somebody who wants to learn, wants to grow, may only have $25, but wants to invest and wants to, you found that company, you've done your research, Stockpile allows you to buy fractions of a stock. So for instance, Amazon is almost $1,600. You may not have $1,600, but you have 50. Stockpile will allow you to get $50 worth of Amazon. So as Amazon grows, your $50 will grow with it. And I think it's a great account for people who don't have a lot of money, who aren't fully like all into investing, but need pictures and graphics. There's a lot of cool things on the app that I think work very well for both adults and children. The other thing I think people can do, I just know this because of what people have told me, but we have online stock classes. We call our Wealth Builder series, part 1 and part 2, on our website that covers the basics. And the reason I actually created this class is because so many people were messaging me on social media asking me questions. And so I kind of got tired of responding to all these messages where people were asking the same question. So I took all the questions people asked me and I turned it into a class. And I pretty much covered the basics. What is a stock? How does it work? How do you buy a stock? How do you sell a stock? How do you make money in the stock market? How do you figure out what to buy? How do you figure out how much to start with? And so there are two classes that we created in particular that just based off of the people that have taken our class and has put them in a position to actually understand how to make money while investing, how to put themselves in a better financial position. And that class you can find on empify.com/adults. So empify.com/adults. And if you use code WEALTH, you can get the bundle deal for both part 1 and part 2. But I can't, the only reason that I would say utilize the class I created is because I don't know a class that covers the basics to investing in a language that us as Black people can understand. Not many people on Wall Street will walk down the street and say a stock is like buying pizza. I think one of the things that God has blessed me with is the creativity to connect the dots from who we are as a people to what we need to know. But I would say the top 3 things: finding the beginners class on our Empify website, finding someone to talk about this with and someone to do this with. Now, you two don't have to have the same account, but where you can share articles, share ideas, do it together, monitor the stock market, things of that nature. And if you don't have an actual account yet, I really like Stockpile. And I've used every single stock app out there, pretty much all the Robinhood, Stash. I've used all of those. And if I had to pick one, I personally would pick Stockpile. And I think that's great. It's not that the others are bad. I just think for the people that I serve and the apprehension we have around investing, I think Stockpile satisfies all those negative thoughts or the fear that we have. They kind of provide all the solutions that you need as a beginner.
Awesome. And I'll be sure to link these resources that Ashley mentioned in the show notes. So thank you for that. One of the final questions that I have before our fire round is, if I'm a person that's looking to invest and starting to begin to invest, and I'm looking into working with Empify, what would that process look like and what would I learn?
Okay, so this is actually great that you're asking this, because within the next couple of months, we're revamping our entire platform and our website. First thing you have to say is, do I want a coach or do I want to learn on my own and kind of go through that process with myself? So me as a financial advisor, you can have me. So you can email me coaching@ashleymfox.com. letting me know what you need help with. And then I'll kind of tell you, this is what I do. This is how I do it based off of what you're looking for. Whereas you and I will have a relationship. You may come to me and say, okay, I want to learn how to invest in stocks. So I can say there's two options where we could do this. You can use Empify the education, where you can take our online classes that we've created, or you can hire me, Ashley Fox, as a person to give you your own private session. But essentially, we're in the process of creating content that will satisfy every question that you could possibly have when it comes to building wealth and having money. But you can either work with Ashley Fox, who is the creator of Empify, or you can utilize the Empify school as a place where you can get financial education. But now let's say you're a teacher, where I want your Empify program and what you do with middle school students in my organization or with my company or with my school. You can email info@empify.com, and then we can talk about the programs that we create for children. As of now, there is no online content for children. All of our content for children is given in the classroom. All of the support and content given for adults is either one-on-one with me or utilizing the Empify tools and resources that the school provides it. So the way you can look at it is, Ashley Fox, was the first person to graduate from Empify U. Therefore, I'm qualified as a teacher to give the world what Empify taught me. You yourself can go to Empify, or you yourself can hire the person who went through the school to give the world the information that she learned by going to Empify. If that makes sense.
Makes perfect sense. And lastly, let's get into our fire round, just some random questions. But Ashley, what advice would you give your 23-year-old self?
23-year-old?
Yes. Yes.
So I would say, 23. Okay. Ashley, you're not crazy. Everything you write in your journal is going to come into fruition. Although you feel like you're different with everybody that's on your team, the experiences that you're having, the friends that you have, you are different for a reason, because you're going to create something amazing. So don't let the fear of being different or the fear of not fitting in or being good enough stop you. Because if you feel like you're not happy, go do what makes you happy and create what it is you want if it has not been done already.
Love it. And I like that you spoke as if you were speaking to yourself. Most people are like, I would tell myself. So I like that. And I've followed you for a while. And one of the things I do remember is you read a lot and you also travel a lot. So one of my questions is, what recommended reads? What's like your favorite read that you would recommend to others?
So as I mentioned before, I am not a finance person by trade. That's what I was taught because I made myself learn finance. I feel like God put me here to pull out the inner potential of every person that I come in contact with. The problem is with pulling out the inner potential, there's always a barrier, a financial barrier that stops us from achieving greatness. And that's where I create the educational resources so I can remove, hey, I don't have any money. I don't know how to make money. I don't know how to invest. So now you can become who you're destined to be. So with that being said, I don't have a favorite finance book because I think finance books are really boring. But I would say one of the books that kind of changed the entire dynamic of my life was this book I read when I was 23. Yeah, I was 23. Called The Celestine Prophecy by James Redfield. And it's a book that, again, has nothing to do with finance, but it's about this guy who goes to Peru in search of these life insights. And every insight on his life takes him to the next insight. And the one thing that I took from that book is everything happens for a reason. So how we were talking previously, how me losing everything or quitting my job, like, for instance, I wanted to always do investment banking on Wall Street because it was the highest paying job on Wall Street. I had an internship my junior year and I didn't get an offer back. Completely cried my eyes out. Like, oh my gosh, what am I going to do? But I did work in asset management. So that's where I landed my job once I graduated. Now, the reason God did not allow me to get that internship is because if I was in investment banking, I would never have been close to wealthy people to see what they do with their money. So because I got close to that, it put me in a position to be that asset management person for the people Wall Street will never serve. And so this book made me realize everything I'm going through right now at this point, every person I come in contact, every tear that I cry, every smile that I have is putting me in a position to help me become a better person during this journey through life. And that is what the book is about. So now every time something happens, I literally ask myself, this is happening for a reason. What am I supposed to get from this? And so now it puts me like on the prowl to understand my life and what I'm doing. And it's because of that book. But that book kind of spearheaded the entire emotional process of me as an individual. And I think that is an excellent book for people to start with. And I also read Think and Grow Rich, which was a great book, which has nothing to do with money either, but more of strengthening the mind of a person so that they can build wealth and live the life that they actually want to.
All great reads. And like I mentioned before, you do travel a lot. So what's this thing for you about the balance of lifestyle, travel, and entrepreneurship?
So let's first be clear that the reason I travel is because wealthy people travel. I remember when I worked on Wall Street, everyone on my floor was traveling. Like, I remember this one guy went to Switzerland for the weekend, and I was like, where the hell is Switzerland? And why is he only going for a weekend? But then I realized, okay, well, if he can go to Switzerland, let me find out. I was the dummy in the room, but I am strong enough to know that I will never be the dummy in the room. So if you say something I don't know, I go Google it because I want to make sure I understand what you're talking about. And so I saw all of our clients traveling, and that was just what they did. So if I saw a wealthy person do it, success leaves clues, it's my job to follow them. So I started to travel. And so once I took my first trip to Europe, I believe I was 24, it changed my entire perspective on life because I went to Howard. So Howard made me realize that there were people who were not like, yeah. So Howard made me feel like there were people who were not like Philly people. When I worked on Wall Street made me realize there are people who were not like Black people. And when I traveled the world, I realized there were people who were not like Americans. But what traveling does to me, it does a couple of things. It allows me to connect with people more because 9 out of 10 chances, I don't care how much money you do or do not have, I'm 95% sure that I've been somewhere that you've traveled. Therefore, we have a connection. There's something that we can talk about. I can easily break the ice. The other thing as an entrepreneur, and this is really, really, really important, just for me in particular, traveling reminds me of what life will be like forever. So when I travel, I'm not one of those people who, I don't like the word budget. I don't stay in like a hostel. Like when I went to the south of France, we stayed in the second best hotel. We rented a yacht. We bought bottles of wine. Like if I'm going to go somewhere, I am going to live the life I feel like I deserve to be having. So I don't cut corners. I just make sure I have enough money to live the life that I want to live because I feel like I shouldn't have to downgrade my life because of my current situation. I need to upgrade my situation so I can live the life that I want. And so what traveling does to me, because I work a lot, it takes me away from the day-to-days of what I do, allows me to recharge because I get so excited about what I see and what I experience. It actually makes me want to come back and work harder to make that life that I was living on vacation the rest of my life. So going to the south of France made me realize this is where wealthy people go just to chill for the summer. Like we met a lady staying in our hotel who was there the entire summer. And I'm just like, I need to hurry up, go back home, do some more, so this can be, even if it's not my life, I have the option of making it my life. And so traveling reminds me of what I'm striving for, the life I want to create for both me and my family. And it just gives me a taste of it. And then I stay there long enough, come back, and I'm excited and I'm recharged to just go out and dominate and become a better person and serve the world. But I actually value traveling. It also opened my mind a lot to different cultures, different foods, different experiences. But it makes me more of a well-rounded person, no matter who I'm around, no matter where you come from, the color of your skin. It makes me more well-rounded, but it also keeps me mentally sane at the same time.
Amazing. And I think enough people don't think about that in entrepreneurship. It's almost like that delayed thing that most people do. So I like that all the things that you brought out that traveling can do or does for someone. Definitely. And my last question is, Ashley, what skills or personality traits do you think have gotten you to where you are today?
I think, I constantly am striving to be better. So every day before I go to sleep, I ask myself, what did you do today to put you in a better position for what you're trying to create in this world? And if there's nothing has been done, then I don't go to sleep. And so for me, every single day of my life, I realize I'm not perfect, but every day I strive to be better. So I'm always focused on what I'm putting into my mind. So for instance, I teach kids, so I got to listen to the music kids listen to. I don't have to listen to it every week, But a couple days out of the week, I have to make sure I stay connected to my audience. But I also know that all the other days during the week, I'm listening to a podcast, I'm listening to YouTube videos, things that are making me stronger as a person to remind me of this life I'm striving to create, because life isn't perfect for me. I go through my ups and downs, but I need to counter those fears and that stress with something more positive to remind me you are amazing. And so I'm very self-aware. I can recognize when I'm scared. I can recognize when I'm like tremendously happy, and I'm growing to become more in control of my emotions, and I can recognize my thoughts. So you have to sometimes ask yourself, what am I thinking about? Because we get so consumed in our mind that we don't even know that we're thinking ourselves out of greatness. Whereas for me, it's like, okay, this happened or this opportunity comes. You're acting scared right now. What do you do when you're scared? Go find something that makes you happy to remind you of all the things that you've been through to prove to yourself that you are worthy of this opportunity. So I'm very self-aware, but I'm always pouring into Ashley. I have this thing where every day I have to read at least 20 pages nonstop, because wealthy people read. Ashley Fox needs to read. There is no, I don't have enough time to read. You find time to make you a better person. So there have been times where I've made mistakes. I'm not the smartest finance person in the world, but even if I make a mistake, I own up to it. And you cannot say that every single day of my life, I am not getting better. So you can say I'm not perfect, but every day I am striving to become a better person, because the more I grow, the more I can better serve people. The more I can better serve people, the more valuable I am to them. The more value you bring, the more money you make, the more you can serve and be the person you're destined to become. The other thing is, I'm not driven by money. There was a point where I was making over 6 figures, realized money didn't make me happy, because you're always going to find someone that has more of it. So what are you really chasing? For me, I value the people that I serve. So if I want to make $1 billion, I need to figure out how to serve 1 billion people. So I don't go into the opportunity of how much money am I going to make. Is I truly believe that what is inside of me, what I have learned, what I have grown to become, I can put that into the hearts of people. Now, how I'm going to do that, I wake up every day trying to figure it out. But there is this burning desire inside of me that you cannot tell me that what I am creating will not work. And the more opportunities that come, the more people that I change, the more messages I get. It makes me a firm believer that this road I'm traveling on is going to work and you're headed in the right direction. But I'm very conscious of what is making me better, the people that I'm impacting and serving. And I kind of removed Ashley's self-interest out the picture. It's more of how can I make someone a better person? Because if I'm teaching you and you don't understand it, there's nothing wrong with the student. There's something wrong with the teacher. So I have to better figure out how to communicate with you, because I know you can do this. I just have to figure out how to make you a believer in yourself, because I believe and I love you too. And I think there's something inside of me that it was a point in life where I tried to get it out because I just became so engulfed in who I was and what I did. And it was such a process. Right. But there's a part of me that truly believes like this is who I am. This is in my DNA. And as long as I focus on it and do it from a genuine perspective, everything will work out the way it is supposed to, and allowing myself to accept that and know that I have no control over what's to come, but you do have control over this God-given moment, and you have to live it to your best ability.
That was a word. Ooh, I love it. I just got so empowered and inspired. And just the authenticity behind like your response. It's just like, we can do and be who we want to be. So Ashley, how can people support what you're doing and continue to stay in contact with you and find you?
So on social media, you can find me at @Ashley, M as in Marie Fox. So ASHLEYMFOX. So that's Facebook, Twitter, and Instagram. For Empify, you can just go to @Empify, EMPIFY. If you specifically have coaching questions where you want to sit and talk to me personally, you can email me coaching@AshleyMFox.com. If you want to hear more about our programs, you can email us info@empify.com. But if you want to, in particular, learn how to invest, want to get information, I would definitely say go to our website, empify.com/Adults. There are classes available. But I would say over this next quarter, there will be a lot of content that we are creating to strengthen the minds of the people that we serve and to help, embed more confidence within us as a people. So just following on social media, subscribing to our monthly newsletter, and just staying abreast of what's going on, because over the next 3 months, we're going to revamp everything that we've been creating to give the community more and more content so that they all don't need Ashley Fox. They all are yearning for what Empify creates. And that's what matters to me.
Definitely. So Ashley, thank you so much. We really appreciate it. I got gained a wealth of knowledge today, and I'm sure everyone else is going to as well. So we really appreciate you for coming on the Black to Business podcast.
Thank you for having me.
Of course. So thank you everyone for listening to this wonderful interview, and we hope that you took something away, and don't forget to subscribe, rate, and review.